Let's take a whiz through the business news now on the programme, and for that I'm joined by Brian Quinn here in the studio. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Nadia.
You're going to be starting us off then with the latest ongoing in that dust-up between KLM and Air France over the Dutch government's surprise announcement that they were going to purchase a major share in the airline's parent company.
So the Dutch government blindsided France earlier this week when it secretly purchased a 14% stake in Air France-KLM, the parent alliance of the two national airlines. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire blasted the move when it was announced, calling it incomprehensible, other French officials likening it to corporate raiding. Well, Friday morning, Le Maire's Dutch counterpart came to Paris for a face-to-face meeting, that meeting taking place amid some clear tensions, but it ended with both sides calling for cooperation. Catherine Viette has the details.
A show of solidarity after cracks appeared in the Air France-KLM alliance. On Wednesday, the Dutch government announced it had acquired a 14% stake in the group without informing France. Now the Dutch and French finance ministers appearing side by side, vowing to focus on the future.
We discussed with my Dutch counterpart the decision taken by the Dutch government on Air France-KLM. But above all, we wanted to turn towards the future with one main objective, a shared objective, which is to make Air France-KLM the best performing airline company in the world.
Concerning Air France-KLM, our ambition is to take more action together. I'm aware that our stake acquisition is not very orthodox, but it's based on good intentions.
The trouble started when Air France's CEO Ben Smith declined to reassure the Dutch government that the airline would keep key routes open at Amsterdam's main airport. Worried that its concerns were not being addressed, the Dutch government sought a bigger stake in the group to get a seat at the table, as the Dutch finance minister put it. But the group's board of directors is still dominated by the French, and the French state retains nearly a quarter of voting rights at the company. Since the 2004 merger, the two airlines have maintained separate corporate structures, and despite KLM's smaller workforce, it's been more profitable than Air France, accounting for 80% of last year's revenue.
Next, shares in Air France-KLM had fallen by as much as 14% over the week, but they took off Friday as that meeting got underway, continuing to gain altitude at midday. They're up nearly 6% so far today. European indexes on the whole climbing as well Friday, mostly on, oh, there's the Air France deal there. That's up nearly 6%, as we said. European shares continuing to climb as well Friday, mostly on optimism over the U.S. and China's ability to find an end to the trade war. That's driving those gains in Europe. New data out Friday also shows Eurozone inflation ticking up to 1.5% in February, with unemployment in the bloc beating expectations to hold steady at 7.8% in January. That's its lowest mark since the global financial crisis. London's FTSE 100 up just under 0.7% as shares in communications firm WPP gain over 7% on its recent restructuring plan. CAC 40 here in Paris up nearly 0.75%, with the Frankfurt DAX up over 1% at midday. Well, China says it is indeed making moves to open its markets to foreign companies, one of the key themes in that U.S.-China trade dispute. The country's rubber stamp parliament, the National People's Congress, is scheduled to begin its next session in Beijing on March 5th to address political and economic policy. High on its list, passing a new foreign investment law to regulate joint ventures and foreign-owned enterprises tailored to meet U.S. concerns. The new law is expected to ban forced technology transfers and illegal government interference in foreign businesses. China's Commerce Ministry is insisting American companies there are committed to staying put.
American companies tell us that China is still the top priority of their industry's global investment plan. The prospect of steady growth in key industry markets and the growing affluent middle class have kept confidence high for American companies in China. Companies, meanwhile, remain optimistic about the continued improvement of China's investment environment.
But next, a common Eurozone budget mechanism remains on the bloc's agenda. French President Emmanuel Macron is an outspoken proponent of the idea, which was agreed in principle by the 19 Eurozone countries at a summit this past December. Though the details of its implementation remain vague, well, last night it was Portugal's turn to call for progress, with Finance Minister Mario Centeno calling it the best response to uncertainties from international trade tensions to Brexit, those that undermine growth in the zone's member states' areas.
This budget tool in the long run will be a guarantee of stability and prosperity for the Eurozone countries. By increasing competitivity and convergence, this tool will respond to systemic needs identified during the crisis, helping countries in periods of uncertainty and making the euro area more cohesive. It will also make the euro area more attractive for other European countries.
Well, finally, for business, Tesla is marking another milestone with its Model 3. The electric car maker has announced it will be cutting the base price of its crucial mass-market sedan from its current $42,900 down to $35,000, finally delivering on a promise it made some 2 years ago. Tesla says in order to make that price sustainable, it will close stores and switch to an online-only sales model. The company also says delivery time will be cut from down from 4 weeks. That's a significantly quicker time frame than the months that many early purchasers of the vehicle were compelled to endure as the company struggled with production bottlenecks in 2018. The price drop comes as the U.S. is phasing out a federal tax credit on electric cars that will effectively raise their price by around $3,750 in that year. So we may still have time to put in our orders.
If you say so, Brian. Keep watching the story for us. Brian Quinn there with the business update on the programme.